And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another weekend edition of the PondCast episode number 88. Your week dose of all things StarCraft. I'm Coach VIP. With me, I'm joined by, of course, crew handling the production and by the lovely people in the chat as well. Welcome all to our weekly wrap-up show. Again, where we do cover all StarCraft news and StarCraft adjacent news as well. It's been a busy week, and we have a lot to get into. Some good news and some otherwise heartbreaking news as well. Up first, we do have the StarCraft anniversary. StarCraft did reach its 28th anniversary here. StarCraft, the original game, might I add. So with that, thankfully, we did get some, at least an announcement post regarding that. I don't know if that's been the case for the past couple of years. So at least Blizzard has not forgotten us. Happy birthday, Pappy. Happy birthday. 28 years of StarCraft. 28 years. Crazy, Pappy. Crazy. So that, of course, was on the 31st of March. Crazy to see that it's been that long, and of course, StarCraft still going strong, Pappy, and more StarCraft to come in the future, I'm sure. Up next, speaking of other StarCraft news, we did. Of course, it was recently announced, as of a couple of days ago, the acquisition of Aligulac. Now, Stegosaurus has been working on this kind of project, on this replay project, in regards to not just replay analysis, not just replay organizing, but also a little bit more like statistics, being able to draw from it as well, referring to build orders, referring to minimap movement as well, just a little bit more in depth and in detail mass breakdown analysis of replays. So that has been a side project for Stegosaurus, and recently has actually acquired Aligulac, and his Replayman project is going to be working with the Aligulac with the API. With the API, going to be working and pulling data from that as well, and it's going to be a little bit more integrated, a little bit more in depth. I'm sure that this is also one of the reasons why Aligulac has been a little bit shaky as of late. It's been a little bit shaky, and at times has been struggling to work for the past couple weeks. I'm sure part of that is I'm pretty sure part of that was just the API being used by Replayman, and maybe to help kind of strengthen things, and maybe to try to solidify things. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Stegosaurus did step in to acquire said site, hopefully for more stability and hopefully for greater support in the future. I know that he has plans for it. I know he's announced that as well. Of course, to still keep it open source to allow other people to make use of the API and to improve on it as well. So yeah, it is going to be it's a big kind of initiative here, especially because Aligulac is widely used by many
we have
people.
an update in the chat from Kashim that no, the Aligulac wasn't like dying because of that. So there you go.
Oh, okay. I was dying for another reason. Okay. That's it. Never mind. Did make that assumption, but it looks like maybe there were some of the other issues with Aligulac. But yeah. Regardless, I do know that Stegosaurus, he's well-intentioned, and I know he has been devoting a lot of time to this replay project. And hopefully this is able to benefit both projects simultaneously, both Aligulac and Replayman as well. Again, so if you're interested when it comes to replay analysis, when it comes to kind of game breakdowns as well, then Replayman is going to be the place to be. Still in beta, from my understanding, it's still in the beta phase, still is yet to be really refined and fully brought to fruition, but is actively being worked upon, and is kind of like what Stegosaurus is focusing on at the moment. For those who are maybe unaware who Stegosaurus is, he is the event organizer for all the Pigasaur Cups. I think there's maybe some misconception that people think that maybe like it's Pig that organizes that. No, Pig is the sponsor. Pig is the sponsor, and it's Stegosaurus who has been running, organizing, and funding the event for a long time, even before Pig jumped on. If you remember, before Pigasaurus, it was called Stegosaurus Cup, and before that, it was the Ursasaurus Cup. Back when initially he was working with Ursa TV, trying to make that event a reality. So it has had like different sponsors over time, but Stegosaurus has been the main person behind it, of course, running the event on a regular weekly basis. And of course, putting a lot of his own money up for the event and up for all the players as well. So again, Stegosaurus has been quite devoted and quite ingrained into StarCraft for quite some time now. And yeah, we'll see how this all comes together, and I'm hoping for positive things moving forward. Again, I do know that he has good intentions, of course, and hopefully he's able to kind of lead Aligulac and his own project as well in a good direction. Hopefully. Hopefully, so best of luck. Best of luck, Stegosaurus. Best of luck. And again, this was announced by SC Historian, on Twitter, and of course, the main post and a greater breakdown of what has been going on is also on Stegosaurus's website to have that kind of more official press release. So if you do see some changes moving forward to Aligulac, then you can see as to a reason as to why that would be the case. So you can keep an eye out on that. Meanwhile,
I would say that the website also includes a bit more about how both Aligulac and Replayman work and like what features you can expect. So if you're interested in that, then check the full article.
Yeah, the full article does kind of break down a little bit more as to what their goals are going to be. Whether they come to fruition, I mean, time will tell, right? Time will tell when it comes to whether they can reach their goals and whether they can meet those expectations and, again, improve said sites together. Up next, we did have Falcon Esports. Falcon Esports, they have since disbanded their StarCraft 2 roster. We were kind of aware that this was going to be on the horizon here, of course. Now that StarCraft is no longer a part of EWC, some of these bigger teams are starting to let their players go. We saw this previously with Team Vitality ending their partnership with Onside, and now we're seeing it here as well with Team Falcons disbanding their own SE2 roster. That is going to be Rogue, Solar, and Bunny now becoming free agents. But they are becoming free agents. Again, they are looking for more support. They're looking for more teams as well. I mean, no surprises there. I mean, all three of them are currently in very strong form, and they've all, I say they've all, Bunny and Solar, have expressed interest in, of course, looking for new teams and continuing to compete. Of course, there's still a lot of StarCraft events going on. There's still a lot to compete for, and all three of those players have become more active over the past couple of months, ever since EWC, actually. Even Rogue and Bunny more so than usual. So they have been more active, have been competing more. I do wish the best for all three of them. All three of them, they're amazing players. They're well worth being on a team. Of course, it's a bit of a difficult environment just because there is no big premier EWC. But, you know, when it comes to other events, I mean, we've been praising and talking a lot about the Chinese scene and SE Boy and Netties. Hey, they expressed interest in running Thunderfire on an annual basis as like an end of year, you know, grand finals, like kind of end of year championship. So we didn't expect that. We had Blizzard Cup kind of announcing that their prize pool is going to be $100K, $100,000, which again is another kind of big, a big tournament to look forward to towards the end of the year. And I'm sure there are many other events on the horizon as well. We did have to bid adieu to Star Zagora, but there are other events worth competing for. And hopefully Solar, Rogue, and Bunny are able to find the opportunities to be able to continue to compete, continue to improve, continue to practice, and be a part of StarCraft. Hopefully. Best of luck to all three of those players. As that leads us into our next bit of news. This kind of, at least to me, came out of left field. Maybe some of the others are a little bit more ingrained into Stormgate would have been a little bit more familiar with this as to, you know, it's looming on the horizon. But Stormgate, they did recently announce, this was, again, a couple of days ago, that their 1v1 mode, I say 1v1 mode, their multiplayer servers are going to be going down. And as a result, their multiplayer modes are going to be discontinuing for the near future or for the foreseeable future. Of course, they do have plans to try to rectify that, but very quickly here, hold on, I was opening up their post. The announcement was also on Discord, which a lot of people did criticize as well. Like there was no like official announcement on social media or on their website. Like it was announced on Discord of all things, which was kind of weird. Again, this was yesterday. We have some unfortunate news. I'll get straight to it. Our game server orchestration partner, Hathora, has been purchased by an AI company and they are winding down their service at the end of April. This will create a planned outage for Stormgate's multiplayer modes. Specifically, when it comes to the acquisition of Hathora, the AI company, they are, from my understanding, they're not really interested in providing services for games. Like that's something that, it's not like they're like specifically targeting Stormgate and ending their relationship and ending that service. It's for a multitude of their, you know, of other games that do use their services for servers, right? For multiplayer modes. So that's just across the board. Stormgate we've had so that it can be played offline, but online modes will no longer be available. There have been talk amongst the community about like peer-to-peer, about like kind of ways to work around this and ways to potentially have some online support, even if that never comes officially. So I know that like peer-to-peer solutions are currently being worked on by the community, by those that still want to play Stormgate and still want to have that competitive aspect and to be able to somehow run online tournaments in some way, shape, or form. So I do know that peer-to-peer solutions are currently being worked on. So that's something that's also happening concurrently. So here, we hope to restore online play in a future patch, but this work will be dependent on Frostgiant finding a partner to support ongoing operations. Another weird thing here when it comes to the announcement is I believe that this is also being announced by someone who's like a volunteer more than anything, not like a developer or not like someone officially on Frostgiant. It was kind of like passed down to them. So what their knowledge about the situation is going to be very limited. And from my understanding, I don't know if there's going to be much interest in Frostgiant because of the state of Stormgate, because of the failings of Stormgate, because of what some of the higher ups at Frostgiant have been saying about Stormgate publicly as well. I wouldn't really hold out hope on them reaching out and providing services and paying for that sort of thing when it feels like the higher ups at Frostgiant aren't too interested in continuing support for the game. But there's always a chance, right? There's always a chance that maybe they can again find a new partner and bring servers online once again. That is the hope for people that do play and that do enjoy Stormgate. That is a hope. But as I mentioned before, like they are working on other solutions to try to keep somewhat of online Stormgate like a thing. And again, this was announced a couple of days ago, and it's been reported on widely now as a fact, of course, and it's pretty disappointing. It's kind of crazy. Like, I think people assumed that Stormgate would keep going at least a little bit longer. It's crazy that the game recently released, quote unquote released, when it came to the store version of the game, and it hasn't really been that long, and now the servers are shutting down. Obviously, like it's a little bit out of their control as to the reasoning as to why the servers are being shut down. But again, because of the current state of things, like it's hard to really say with any certainty that they really are going to look for like other service providers to provide servers for their game. Like it's hard to say that with any kind of confidence that that's something that they will do. I'm hoping that they do. It's like I'm someone that doesn't play Stormgate. I was always waiting for kind of an opportunity to do so. I never really got into, because we cast so much StarCraft, we got into the beta, or at least I got a beta code for it, but I never got to play. Like I just never had the opportunity, just because of all the StarCraft that was going on. We had non-stop casting, so I just didn't have the free time to do so. So never did quite get into it, unfortunately.
I played like 2 or 3 games on the very beginning, like in the beta or something. So I have that much more experience.
Yeah, and obviously, like, there are a lot of controversies regarding the scope, regarding the direction, regarding the planning process as well, as to what they even wanted the game to be, as to when it comes to like unkept promises, the disaster that was the initial release of the campaign. From my understanding, I believe the campaign has since improved greatly. Like, they did kind of rework and revamp it, and the campaign is now a better place than it once was. But even then, like, just because, like, first impressions, they are important, right? And things kind of did crash and burn quite quickly. And I feel like Frostgiant, they've lost a lot of the goodwill that they otherwise had. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame what happened with Stormgate and with Frostgiant. I mentioned this earlier, but it did feel like Jeff Kaplan had certain things to say, even like indirectly, when it came to his interview that we covered not too long ago, where he was talking about the importance of kind of like game directors and the importance of like a team unity and kind of team vision in regards to what a game needs to be and what it should be and what they're working towards, and also recognizing kind of the resources you have available to you and scaling back to make sure that expectations are based in reality, instead of like trying to like push for something that isn't quite that that you can't quite reach, and kind of hoping that praying that like sales would go up, or you'd be able to find some more sponsorships or some more funding, I should say, maybe that's a better way of putting it, some more funding in other avenues. That's kind of like, it's, at least in his opinion, kind of the wrong way to go about it when it comes to funding a game and developing a game as well. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like nowadays a lot of people are looking at, like, for one, like, silver lining is that hopefully for the other game developers out there, for those working on Zero Space, for those working on Vanguard, I should say not Vanguard, Immortal Gates of Higher, right? That one. It used to be called Vanguard.
It was called Vanguard back when it was a StarCraft mod. Fun fact.
It was. So Immortal Gates of Higher, Zero Space, and the upcoming potential game from David Kim, if you recall. Hopefully they're able to, learn from this, grow from this, and able to make sure that they don't fall into any kind of pitfalls that Frostshine and Stormgate did fall into in their own development process. I hope that's the case. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame, definitely. I mean, again, even as someone that doesn't play Stormgate, I still feel for those that are committed and devoted and do commit a lot of time. I mean, hey, a couple of StarCraft people did kind of switch over and do prefer, playing that game and did enjoy it themselves, competing at it. And that's going to be becoming a little more difficult to actually get into as well. So heart goes out to those that enjoy Stormgate, that are negatively affected. And wish them the best.
I think the thing about Stormgate is that I feel like lately it's kind of less in the developers' hands and more like the community is actively trying to like improve the game. So I kind of feel bad for them, really, that they put so much of their own work into it and it's like out of their hands still.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at, is that the reality is that there is a community around Stormgate, around competing and playing and embracing Stormgate, where they do legitimately enjoy the game. They do love the game. They commit and they devote all that they can into it. When it comes to, as you said, like the community patch, balancing the game, trying to improve it, creating their own assets, creating their own models even, or their own units, of course, and running their own tournaments, like that's something that they enjoy and that they devote a lot of time into, and that's all kind of being hindered by this, which is, it is a big shame. Big shame for sure. So best of luck. Best of luck to all those involved. Best of luck to all those that, of course, are looking to try to keep that 1v1 or that competitive aspect alive as well. Best of luck. Best of luck. As that leads us into StarCraft Evolution. SC Evo, of course, last week we did go over the 1.18 patch, and now we have the 1.18.1 patch. So it looks like we do have a bit of an amendment here. We do have a bit more changes coming in after a week's worth of content. I do know that there was, I think the SEL Doubles 2 I think that's still on the horizon. I guess SC Evo number 21 did take place in between, so maybe that gave a little bit of data moving forward, and that is going to be like informing kind of the changes occurring here. We'll see what changes will be occurring. Very first, they are going to be shouting out to tournaments here. Golden Retrieval Club Global Doubles number 1. It looks like the Chinese scene, looks like Iceland specifically, who, if you recall, I believe was involved in Warcraft 3, was a Chinese player, and did play in some Warcraft 3 Evolution tournaments and now some SE Evo tournaments as well, is running a 2v2 event. A pretty decent prize pool here, and it is going to be, I believe, in a couple of days' time. So they are, of course, giving it a shout out, and I do wish all the players the best. It'd be interesting to see how many international players get involved. I'd love to see like Thermal, stepping into the ring and having some of the other kind of European players also kind of jump into the ring as well. I see that Björn and Solar signed up. I see that Bratok and Minuvik signed up. Mini Zerg and Sickness as well. Def Mars and Zardian. So there's some decent signups here. Decent signups. Wish them all the best with the upcoming 2v2 tournaments. So initially they did give a shout out to that. Meanwhile, let's jump into the changes. Let's go. Up first, we have some Terran changes here for the SCV and for the the Rex once again. Let's go, baby. Let's go. SCV increased attack period 1.07 to 1.1. So now the attack period is a little bit longer between attacks with the SCV. Ranks increased build time from 46.4 to 50 instead. Interesting changes. A little bit odd. It says here, lately, proxy barracks all-ins with SCV pools have been quite prevalent. I'll have to take their word for it. This is something that I always have to say with StarCraft Evolution, is that I have to imagine that that the people behind the mod and the people working on these balance changes have a lot more data than we do, even more so than just covering all the events, because there's very few events happening, right? There's only StarCraft Evolution League, which is once every 2 weeks, and that's it, and the 2v2 tournament. But there aren't really any other events. I would imagine they're also getting data from other custom games that are occurring, or kind of like I'm sure the beta ladder as well. Like I'm sure they're extrapolating from like other kind of avenues, not just SC Evo 21. I would hope that that's the case. I would hope so. This is partially due to our previous reduction of the barracks construction time to speed up surges in late game bioproduction. However, we failed to notice that the Brood War factory in SC Evo Complete has built 3.65 seconds faster than the StarCraft 2 factory since before patch 1.0, specifically to offset the increased barracks build time. This meant that our intuition for how Brood War Terran openers line up relative to StarCraft 2 openers was faulty. We also failed to anticipate the acceleration of all opening play after the barracks. First, to directly discourage SCV rushes, we are increasing the SCV attack period. This mirrors the same numerical change to the drone when the 12-pool drone pool was common against SC2 Protoss last year. Okay. Next, we are nerfing the barracks build time. This directly nerfs proxy barracks play. It also addresses concerns about CC first openers, which should be greedy and punishable in principle. This is an interesting byproduct. CC first is it feels very common. It feels very common in StarCraft Delusion from Brood War Terran. So it sounds like they want to make it maybe a little bit less viable, or just more of a risk, as we often don't see it being punished, to be honest. Being overly safe, and the timing of Simback and U23HL's pushes as well. Okay. As increasing the build time delays the entire Terran tech tree, we expect these changes to be disruptive, and that's intentional. But we also expect that quite a few builds times, resource timings may need to be adjusted and remain steady to do so as needed in future patches. Okay, so we'll be keeping an eye on this. We'll see how this does change things. Again, I'll have to take their word for it. I didn't really get to see too many proxy SCV pool all-ins, but if they're saying that it's prevalent, then I have to take their word for it in regards to how much of an issue it is in competitive StarCraft Evolution. In general, like cheeses and proxies have been quite strong as of late, so trying to incentivize mid-game play, I'm sure, is something that the team is actively aware of and actively working on, and wishing the best when it comes to trying to make that a reality, of course. Scrolling down, we have the medic. Once we spoke about this last week, how because of how prevalent these stim timings have been throughout the entire for that like almost 2 years of play, the racks, the medic, stim upgrade research, like marines, like it all gets adjusted and all gets patched like so commonly in SE Evo. We didn't get to this adjusted last patch, but now we finally got there. Okay, increase restoration research time from 42.9 to 57.1. Oh, okay. Increase research time quite heavily. Increase restoration energy cost from 50 to 75. Increase optical flare research time from 42.9 to 64.3. Decrease energy cost from 75 to 50. Interesting. Very quickly on this, so these are the upgrades, of course, for the medic. Optic flare was always a really interesting upgrade, and unfortunately, we didn't really get to see it too much. Whenever we did, it was always a lot of fun. For those who are unaware, Optic Flare is kind of like a flashbang. It targets a unit, and it essentially reduces that specifically that unit's vision to like 1 or to almost 0. Like it essentially blinds the units. But that doesn't so that specifically that unit's vision is impaired. But of course, you can still make use of vision from other units around it. So if you have if you use Optic Flare like on a Tempest, if there's another Tempest, then you still have vision. But if you Optic Flare all the Tempest, then they can't really see anything, right? So you need something else to provide vision for those units. And it's been a while since we've seen it used. It's always really cool whenever we do see it. It's been like a couple of months, if not a year, since we've seen it in competitive play. So I'm a little bit sad to see that it is going to be de-incentivized, especially with that research time being increased quite heavily. But I would imagine that maybe we've been seeing it used a little bit recently and to great effect. Let's see. Although restoration appears seldom and its potential seems unrecognized by the current batch of top Terrans, clearly have their thoughts on this. We think that a spell on a 1 supply 25 gas unit, which is able to negate spells from more expensive spellcasters such as the Raven and the Viper, is too cheap at 50 energy. As such, we are increasing the energy cost to 75 and forcing players to plan more deliberately around its use by increasing its research time. That's interesting rationale. Like, on the one hand, I understand it, where they're like, this ability seems a little bit too strong and too good. Let's try to let's balance around that. But at the same time, they're also admitting that like it doesn't really get used too often. And it's a fine line when it comes to balanced design, whether you want to make something more accessible first to allow players to explore, to like experiment and to embrace it, and then you hit it with a nerf and hopefully like the players are able to understand and see the value in that, and then still try to incorporate it despite the nerfs and despite kind of pulling it back a little bit later on down the line. Here, to already hit it with the nerf like when it's already rarely used, like it's I feel like that's just going to continue, right? Like, unfortunately. Hopefully that isn't the case, and players are able to, explore into some of these upgrades and into these use spells a little bit more, but we'll see. In patch 1.16, we increased the energy cost of Optic Flare from 50 to 75 because we felt it was too effective in shutting down harassment builds involving low numbers of high-value units, such as Battlecruiser rushes, Tempest rushes, and Colossus drops. However, as the game progressed and armies grow, the number of optical flares needed to affect an engagement skyrockets. Therefore, this energy cost nerf achieved its goal of diversifying the choice of build orders from the opponent. It came at the cost of making the ability prohibitively expensive. In order to increase the number of scenarios where Optic Flare can be leveraged, we are decreasing the energy cost back to 50. To prevent this from being oppressive against aforementioned openers, we are also increasing the research time of Optic Flare so that these builds have more time to find damage. Again, this is understandable. Once again, it's kind of like a big hit when it comes to the research time, and Optic Flares is rarely seen. Hopefully we get to see a little bit more in the future. It's always a lot of fun to see like these medic upgrades. In general, like bioplay also has been a little bit more diminished, kind of in the mid game to late game. Seeing more mech out of Brood War Terran, of course, as well. But once again, I can like understand the rationale, but I also understand that these are upgrades and these are abilities that are rarely seen to begin with. And my concern is just that, especially when it comes to the research time and specifically the research time, because it takes so long to get into, I just don't know if players will bother to get into them to begin with. But hopefully that's not the case. Up next is the Ghost. Decrease lockdown research costs from 150 to 125. Decrease nuclear strike cast range from 13 to 12. Ocular implants upgrade now increase nuclear strike range cost by 2. Interesting. We think the current underutilization of the Ghosts may be due to the prohibited cost of the tech branch. I don't know if that's the case. So this is kind of what they're doing here with the Ghosts is kind of what I was talking about when it came to the medic upgrades. we're barely seeing them anyway. Like, it'd be nice to see them more. And then here they're kind of admitting that with the Ghost and like, okay, so we're not seeing this at all. Maybe it's because the upgrade is too expensive. I don't think that's the case. But what I will say is that seeing something like this hopefully does incentivize players, even if this isn't the case, to see it's a little bit cheaper. They might be more willing to invest into lockdown and invest into Ghost in the mid game. I would hope so as well, but I don't necessarily know if that's necessarily the reason as to why we don't see much lockdown usage or much Ghost usage. Decrease in nuclear strike cast range aligns to that of the SE2 Ghost ability, and additional interaction of ocular implants with this cast range mirrors its behavior in Brood War. Okay, so this is just kind of lining things up with SE2 and lining things up with Brood War when it comes to the nuke cast range. I mean, that's whatever. I think what's a little bit more interesting here is the lockdown research, and again, this is really just a change that makes them that hopefully incentivizes play. That's all this is. Goliath. We do have our Goliath changes. Increased Hellfire Missile Pack attack period from 0.994 to 1.03. Increased Cannon Booster's attack range increase from +2 to +2.5. Okay. Interesting. This will mainly affect mech, of course. We have adjusted the Goliath's anti-air attack period and the attack range increase granted by Cannon Booster's research in both directions many times before. True. These changes have proven to be pivotal in the development of Terran's balanced states. This is also true. The reasoning for this is, I mean, we have had metas where like Mass Goliath has been a thing when getting into mech. The Goliath has been a pretty powerful tool at times for meching Terrans. We've been seeing a little bit less of it, a little bit more of it. Curious what their rationale for it here is. As the Goliath is the longest range anti-air option available towards excluding the Battlecruiser Yamato Cannon and Ghost Lockdown. Previously, we failed to recognize this role and over-nerfed the Goliath as a result. Okay. At 8 range, the Goliath is entirely ineffective against Tempest and Liberators. However, previous versions of the Goliath at 8.5, but otherwise identical stats that the current Goliath were too strong against Tempest. We think that the 8.5 range can be restored to renew the threat against Tempest while ensuring that this threat is not too great by slowing the firing rate of Hellfire Missile Pack. This also gives Glass a bit more leverage against Liberators before Enhanced Ballistics is researched. I feel like this is I feel like a change like this is also subject to change once again. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like another patch in the future addressing this. Basically, they're referring to the fact that the Goliath range was too great earlier and it was too punishing for Skytoss or for just air-based units in general. But then they over-nerfed it, so now they're trying to bring it back, and they're hoping that the change to the attack period will be enough to offset. Whether that's true, I mean, yet to be seen, right? Like, that's why I say that if that isn't the case, and if it is too strong, and if it is too dominant, then most likely we'll be seeing another change to the Goliath. Science Vessel. Increased build cost from 100 to 100 to 100 to 225. Increased build time as well from 34.5 to 39.3. And decrease EMP Shockwave research cost from 150 to 125. Interesting. So they're going to be making EMP a little bit more accessible. They're going to be, of course, making the Science Vessel itself less accessible. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. It's going to take a little bit more time to build. But of course, it is a powerful unit. It has a lot of spells available to it as well. And hey, there we go. I was mentioning this earlier, how it feels like there's not really much for this patch to really go off of outside of SE event number 21, and they're making reference to it here, right here. Based on the results of StarCraft Evolution League 21 last Saturday, we noticed that Brood War Terran seems overall too strong against StarCraft 2 Zerg. This is an event that we have yet to cast. My concern here, and I mean, it depends what happened in the games themselves, but this is a really big extrapolation from one data point from one tournament. But that's always the issue when it comes to SE Evo, just because there are so few games being played, so you're quite limited in kind of what you're basing things off of. Not saying that this is wrong, just saying that that's kind of like the reality of the situation. Particularly in the late game, and we believe the primary culprit is Mass Irradiate. Investigating its stats, we concluded that the Science Vessel was too strong to warrant a Vespene gas reduction from its original cost. It also should not build as quickly as Raven or more quickly than a Banshee. Reverting the Science Vessel build cost to its brutal value and build time to pre-patch 1.9, value of 39.3, reflects this conclusion. We've also decreased the research cost of EMP Shockwave to encourage its use against the other SCG races and partially offset the characteristic difficulty of aiming its slow projectile. Okay, so they just want to incentivize EMP, which is understandable, and again, increasing the build cost and increasing build time should mean that there are going to be less Science Vessels and less NG and less Irradiates available. Irradiate is a pretty powerful upgrade. I'm curious to see the games themselves that were played during SE event number 21 that kind of led to this conclusion and led to this decision. I'm curious to see. I mean, in general, like, I'm sure that event is going to be kind of explaining a lot of these changes. Sure, I will. Up next, we have the Spore Colony. So now Zerg changes. That's it when it comes to Terran. Again, a lot of this feels like trying to incentivize certain play. It's like, we want people to use EMPs more. We want people to use lockdowns more. We want people to not use medic upgrades more? Question mark. But also recognizing that they're also quite rare as well. That feels like that's what a lot of these changes are. I think one of the more important changes, of course, outside of that is what's happening with the Goliath, and of course the Science Vessel as well. A little bit more so. For the Zerg changes, Spore Colony, decrease attack damage from 20 to 15. Okay, I'm curious if this is in regards to ZVZ. I know that there have been a lot of targeted changes regarding ZVZ and mutaplay and the strength of Spore Colonies. Decreased attack period from 0.67 to 0.61. Okay. Currently, the Spore Colony serves a broad defensive role in Brood War Zerg's arsenal. Due to the race's lack of SC2 Queens or repositional Spore Crawlers, Spore Colonies have necessarily possessed a wider range than either. True. They have. And we think the current range value of 8 is healthy. However, the Spore Colony is currently so strong that players have largely given up on Banshee and Oracle harassment. Upon further investigation, we noticed that Spore Colony's damage stats divert diverge from its brood war values. We are aligning them with these changes while maintaining the spore colony's existing area coverage so that air harassment openers can operate more freely against Zerg. Interesting. So under the guise of them wanting to make things closer to its brood war values, they did want to try to make harassment options a little bit more viable here. And hopefully they are. Like, the reality is that yes, there is no queen early game in the early game to help defend against oracles and banshees and that kind of harassment. But at the same time, we do have a hatch tech hydras, and it is quite common to go into hydra tech. It's possible that a change like this may be forcing more hydra play and more hydra openers, and maybe even earlier hydra dens, just because of the now weaker spore colony. The other thing that we could see is maybe additional spore colonies. Right now it's just one per base. Do we go up to 2? We'll see. We'll see how much of the change this impacts, whether it does force Zerg players to have additional colonies or force Zerg players to get earlier hydra dens for earlier anti-air. We shall see. Heading down, we have the Sunken Colony. Decrease stack period from 1.34 to 1.25. This change was implemented in patch 1.18, but we forgot to include it in the blog post. Oh, there you go. You're maintaining this change given several other early game nerfs this patch. This buff is intended to partially compensate and ensure that Zerg can reasonably defend in the early game. This is in regards to some of the core unit changes that were in the last patch in 1.18. Overlord. Decreased Numisat's carapace movement speed. Increase from 2.25 to 2.16. Increase Ventral Sack's research cost from 150 to 200. Increase Ventral Sack's research time from 64.3 to 71.4. Okay, interesting. Patch 1.18.1 features significant buffs to Zerg's late game units. We've yet to get there, but okay, I guess we're about to get there. Okay, which will make them more threatening in direct confrontations. Brood War Zerg's relative macro simplicity due to a lack of inject or creep spread. Cycles also frees up APM for overwhelming multi-prong drop play. We expect Zerg's performance against the Psychiatry races in the late game, especially Protoss, to be greatly enhanced this patch. So we think it's fair to compensate by making this drop play less accessible. Interesting. Numisat's carapace nerf aligns overlords to their core movement speed values post-upgrade, and the increase in Ventral Sack's research costs and research time further distinguish it as a committal tech option and give the opponent adequate time to prepare for its completion. I don't know if I agree with the idea that they're going to be... We'll get there, but they're going to be buffing like late game Zerg, so they want to take away some of its mobility. I wouldn't be opposed to even like making late game Zerg a little bit weaker and increasing mobility, just because that makes for a more dynamic like kind of game. I know that historically or traditionally, Brood War races, Brood War Terran, Protoss, Zerg are less mobile. Of course, they're less mobile than their SC2 counterparts. Maybe they want to stick with that sort of ideology. But I kind of like the idea of a more active player in a longer game with all the drop lord play. But we'll see what change is going to be made. We'll see if the game is going to be slowed down significantly. Again, I'll be honest, I haven't seen much late game Brood War Zerg, so I don't know how prevalent this is and how common this is and how difficult it is for the opposing player to keep up with this. I will say that again, like the SC2 Protoss and SC2 Terran are mobile enough to be able to keep up with this, or at least they should be. So yeah, it's interesting to see that they're taking some of that mobility away from Brood War Zerg. Scrolling down, Hydra. Increases attack period from 0.67 to 0.69. Okay, so Hydra's attack at a lower rate. Decreased movement speed research cost from 125 to 75.75. Is this like a redaction from the previous patch? Hold on. Because no, the Hydra was adjusted last patch. Quite a bit, if I recall correctly.
It does say in the paragraph that in patch 118 they did something. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just updating. So in patch 1.18 they increased research cost from 100 to 125, and then they lowered it now from 125 to 75. So now it's cheaper than the previous, than even like 1.17. Okay. So it's actually quite cheap. Interesting. The rationale for buffing the Hydra to its current attack period of 0.67 in patch 1.17 was as a response to broad buffs across the SE2 races in the most recent patch. However, not only were our initial impressions off, with Protoss being hit particularly hard by the nerfs to NG recharge, but Sonic Storm was nerfed in the October 8 hotfix. As such, Hydra became an oppressive force in a Brood War Zerg versus S2 Protoss matchup. I feel like many would say that Psystorm wasn't nerfed, and even current pro Protoss players say that Psystorm is actually better than it was before, but interesting. In patch 1.18, we tried to address this with research cost nerfs to muscular augments and grew spines. They do not appear to be enough, as Hydra forces remain too well-rounded in combat, even against ostensible counters such as Zealots. Therefore, we are reverting the Hydralist attack period to its pre-1.17 value of 0.69 seconds. However, we do not want a repeat of the era between patches 1.11 and 1.15. Back then, Hydras had an attack period of 0.74, and Zerg players massed Hydras not because they were strong, but because they were so weak that spending resources tech switching instead of building Hydras continuously would lose them the game. To ensure that Zerg players can spare resources to tech switch away from Hydras, despite slightly weaker armies, we are maintaining the sum of both Hydra upgrade research costs at 200-200 by decreasing Grew Spines up to 75-75. Keeping the research costs of Muscular Augments at 125-125 maintains an additional deterrent against early Hydra rushes against SE2 Protoss, and the cheaper cost of Grew Spines partially compensates for the decreased performance of Spore Colonies for a more defensive Hydra opening. I mentioned earlier that that again, Hydras, we might be even seeing earlier Hydra play to help deal with early harassment because of the change to the Spore. They're kind of addressing it here. I'm curious to see if, because of the cheaper Grew Spines resource, if that incentivizes Hydra rushes by going for Grew Spines. If that's like something that we see or not, it's hard to say. But yeah, interesting change here overall. Is interesting. We'll see how that impacts, again, whether players can tech switch, whether we see any kind of prevalence of Hydra all-ins. Interesting. Up next is Aspire. Increased build cost from 150-150 to 200-150. Increased build time as well. Okay, we got just flat nerfs here, okay. Muta decreased attack damage from 10 to 9, increased attack period from 1.21 to 1.25, decreased separation radius while movement 0.5 to 0.1. Just a bunch of changes when it comes to the nature of mutas and how they kind of interact with each other. Interesting. As mentioned in the previous patch notes, the latest wave of Spire Muta buffs were meant to create a more evasive Mutalisk. In that they succeeded, and the Muta feels unhindered in its mobility, much more than in previous versions. However, its increased range also disrupted its interactions with many units. In particular, the Mutalisk now easily stays out of reach of Archons and approaches Phoenixes on equal footing. We think that Muta's new range exacerbates its increased base damage, which was previously necessary, but now contributes to direct combat power we do not intend. Okay, so they're winding back the Muta. Once again, I have to take them at their word for it that maybe Muta play was too oppressive here. I gotta take them at their word. As such, rather than reduce its range or deprive the Muta of its characteristic evasiveness, we are reverting its damage stats to their Brood War values. Okay, and we are no longer mirroring the buffs to the SE2 Spire. Cool. Up next, changes to the Guardian and to the Devourer. Yo, these are so rare. I love them whenever they pop out, but we just like, again, we casted SE Evo number 19 recently, and I think we saw an all-in almost every game. I think there was maybe one or two games in the finals where there wasn't a cheese and where there wasn't an all-in. But hoping that changes coming into SEL 20 and 21. Decrease attack damage from 25 to 20. Decrease for the Guardian. Decrease attack damage increased per upgrade from +3 to +2, decrease attack period from 1.34 to 1.25, and increase attack range from 10 to 11. Likewise, they had some changes to the Devourer as well, increase morph cost, and increase attack range as well. Okay, one of the issues with the current state of Brood War Zerg versus SE2 Terran matchup is the versatility of the Ghost. I think that's just TVZ period, but sure. Steady targeting eliminates many high-value Zerg targets in a singular use and kills Guardians in 2. Although counterplay exists in the Defiler's Plague, there is no way to successfully cast it on ghosts that are well positioned and defended by siege tank lines, even with Overlord drops. I mean, I would say even more so because Overlord drops have just been nerfed. So that's there's going to be layers on that. Ultimately, Zerg must engage cost efficiently into such entrenchments, or hope to dislodge them with harassment play elsewhere. I think another issue here is that on top of that, defensive setups in SE Evo are even stronger than in SE2. That is true, just because of the mischance, just because of the high ground advantage. However, in recent patches, Zerg no longer easily obtains the economic lead that brute force tactics require, and drop harassment is not a direct response to Terran deathballs. To resolve this, and especially to address ultra late game scenarios where most of the resources are on the map are depleted, there needs to be a technical high efficient army composition that Zerg can build. We are buffing the currently underutilized Guardian to be the background. Yeah, I was about to say that again. I mean, we just spoke about it, that we just rarely get to see Guardians, rarely get to see Devourers, unfortunately. Increase in range to 11 allows it to outrange the Ghost's steady targeting ability. Also brings the Guardian's range into parity with Thor's in high impact mode. And since Guardians are air units with no hard collision boxes, their density will allow them to overwhelm Thor's. Since we expect this range increase to be quite disruptive, we are diverting the Guardian's damage stats to their Brood War values. This comes at a cost of overall decreased DPS, but a faster attack period will naturally create more opportunities to cancel steady targeting costs, as Ghosts must walk into danger to cast this ability. I guess the implication here is that to help deal with snipes from Ghost, they want the Guardian to manually target the Ghost. That's interesting. I mean, technically, like as I was saying, they have the range for it. I don't know if that's like viable, but we'll see. We'll see. As opposed to relying on spellcasters, of course. Vikings will be necessary to fight Guardians, and Zerg will need a suitable response. Therefore, we are buffing the Devourer's range. In light of this and the Devourer's ability to drastically buff attack period, we see reverting the Devourer's morph cost to the Brood War values as an acceptable compensatory change. Interesting. We'll see how this works. So when it comes to late game ZVT, they spoke earlier about how they're buffing it, which is why they're taking away some of the mobility of the Zerg. This is assuming that that we can embrace the late game. One of the reasons why I mean, again, maybe I don't have enough experience, but we just haven't been seeing a lot of situations like this. They're bringing up this kind of like split map scenario. In at least our experience so far, like that's quite a rare sight to see the map mined out. Maybe it does happen more in SCL 21, which is what kind of like informs and impacts the decisions made here, and maybe that's why that's done. We'll see if we get more of that in future tournaments. For the Ultralisk, adjusted build costs, so 175 to 175 to 200 at 150, increase anabolic synthesis research costs from 125 to 150, and increase kindness plating as well. Okay. Patch 1.18, we decreased the Ultra's radius and model size to better reflect its relative lack of sheer power compared to the SE2 Ultra. However, these changes do not address that the Ultra is still not an effective unit for its Vespene gas cost. We are avoiding buffing the Ultra stats or attributes or giving its weapon a contrived damage bonus. Contrived, true. Instead, we are adjusting its cost to make it more accessible. We are also reverting the Ultra's upgrade research cost to its pre-1.17 values. Okay. So as I mentioned, like the Ultra is going to be cheaper gas-wise to ideally incentivize Ultra play. Obviously, the big changes here for the Zerg is the Guardian. That's probably the biggest one. Is with the increased range, that does make the Guardian more efficient. At least it should be. It should be more efficient. I still have the concern about how it kind of interacts with the Ghost and how it interacts with the Terran army. Like they spoke here about how like, oh, like, you know, mobility and drop play doesn't really help against dealing with the death blow of a Terran army. But at the same time, I would argue that typically that's what you want to be doing to slow down the expansions of the Terran, right? To slow down their 5th base or 6th base, to distract them in the main base as well. Like that's typically what you want to be doing to pull apart the Terran player to make for a better fight. But again, like I haven't seen the games that have like influenced this patch, right? I just haven't seen those games. So I don't really have the context as to where the mindset is when it comes to making up and coming to these conclusions and coming up with these changes. We'll catch up. We'll catch up. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there. But interesting changes for sure. I'm a little bit concerned with what's going to happen to Zerg here. And whether they're able to, whether these changes are successful, and whether they're able to kind of incentivize like Sky Zerg, basically Guardian Devour. I would love that would be the case. I just don't know if that's going to happen. Likewise, they're also going to try to incentivize more ghost play, more lockdown play, which I think is a good thing for sure. I just realized, were there no Protoss changes? Yeah, I was waiting for it. I was like, wait, what? Never mind. Never mind. Okay, just Terran and Zerg. Just Terran and Zerg. But yeah, I mean, really, this patch more than anything, it's interesting changes. Again, they're trying to promote some usage of other spellcasters. They're trying to wind back a little bit when it comes to certain units, of course. When it comes to certain cheeses, with the Rax change, with the SCV change, with the Science Vessel as well. True. I should also emphasize that that's also going to be impacting. That's a different matchup there. That's true. That is going to be a different matchup. Interesting changes to the Spore Colony. Hopefully that does open up, more like Banshee openers, Oracle-based openers, like things of that nature. We'll see. I'll keep that in the back of my mind when it comes to eventually catching up with StarCraft Evolution. Eventually. Also, what I should say as well when it comes to some of these changes is that clearly, again, it's one of those things where SEVO, they have the power to make these changes a lot more regularly. So even if, say, these changes were influenced by one singular tournament, well, bam, the next tournament might, trigger a bunch of other changes and maybe a bunch of reversions as well, right? Like they have the freedom, they have the ability to play a little bit more fast and loose with changes and change them on a whim, or kind of rectify that or go back and forth on a more regular basis. The downside of that is it does make for a bit of a messy and a bit of a chaotic kind of state of play when it comes to how units are working and the balance of the game. But it also means that they have the freedom to make those fast changes and to interject whenever they feel the need to do so. If they do see something like a bit of an issue, if they do see a problem, they feel like something isn't working as intended, they can very quickly, bam, just come up with a solution and try to fix it then and there. There are some pros, there are some cons to it. Meanwhile, our last piece of news here for the week, we do have the SE2 Chess Tournament, the second edition here, sponsored by Basilisk. Again, last time Trigger, he did organize and host an event. Trigger has been very engrossed in chess, and so have some of the other SE2 players out there. So we were able to bring together players of the highest caliber of play. Like we had Trigger, we had Night Phoenix, Ubu Thermal, we had Showtime, a Laser, Astrea was playing as well. Let's go, Sebestus. We even had Cyril and Clem as well. So really cool to see some of the top StarCraft 2 players that also, enjoy chess, kind of facing off and competing in a chess tournament. It's really cool to see this kind of like cross-promotional play, and I wish we got more of this, to be honest. Like the idea of pro players kind of like spreading their wings and competing in other games, whether it's chess, whether it's in other esports titles as well, is really cool to see. It's really cool to see. I feel like there's a very nice kind of like there's a really nice kind of like way in here for chess, just because it is quite common for a lot of these SG players to also compete and to also enjoy chess in their own way. So GG well played, and I believe Euthermal came first. the official chess champion, papi. Ay. Este Euthermal. Not like this. Congratulations, Euthermal. Coming in first place, you had Percival in second, followed by Sebestus, Showtime, a Laser, Astrea, Cyril, Night Phoenix, Clem, and I'm not too familiar with the final player there, but Krastaka. Oh wait, is that Goblin?
Is that Goblin? I was gonna say, is that a Goblin?
Yeah. I think that's Goblin, yeah. Este Goblin, papi. But GG well played. Again,
Also,
this will take place on the 27th of March.
I would say, but all the people responding to this post couldn't help but see that Sarah stopped at 1337.
True.
Just couldn't go any higher,
Totally intentional. But congratulations to Euthermal for being the SE2 chess champion, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of this in the future. I'm sure we'll be getting more of these chess tournaments, especially with Bastards, because they have acquired their own chess players as well. I'm sure they'd love to have that more cross promotional play with Trigger, with Chess. Best of luck. Best of luck. That leads us into our tournament results. Tournament results here of the week. Us up first, we do have RSL. We have the Revival StarCraft League Season 4. We did go over the first couple of days of RSL. And now we have our top 6. We have our top 6 players here. From the top, we have Maru. Maru, he took down Beyond 3-0 in a very intense, very fast TBT. MaxFax and Trigger also fast 3-0. MaxFax does advance on as well. I'll be honest, it's the length of the games isn't really the fault of the tournament organizers, not at all. But the broadcasts have been very, very short. Mar versus Björn, Max versus Trigger, these were like 20-minute series. Like these were really short matches, really short broadcasting days. Same with Cure versus Zaun and Hero versus Rogue. Really short broadcasting schedules or broadcasting days as well. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully we can sink our teeth into some StarCraft this weekend. Fingers crossed. But Maru, he does advance on the face-off against MaxFax in the upper bracket finals. Meanwhile, we did have Akira. Akira, he knocked us down out of the lower brackets. Akira, he does advance on the face-off against Trigger. And then we had a massive upset. Rogue, he takes down a Hero 3-0. Hero, who was being a little bit cheeky. He was being a little bit unorthodox. I'm still thinking about that game on Missing You today, where Hero, he was doing everything well. He was doing everything right. He was ahead. He was crippling the bases, crippling the economy. He was out trading Rogue. He was applying a lot of pressure. And then what happened? Rogue went for a massive Ling counterattack. In the face of Hero's Blink Stalkers, he went for a massive Ling counterattack. And as you can imagine, the wall was open. The wall was open, and Rogue killed 30 probes. He got Lings in the main, Lings at the natural, and Lings at the third location. He had Lings everywhere, and Hero, he didn't turn around. He kept pushing with his main army, which meant that his defenses back at home were weak. He didn't recall back home, and he didn't take it seriously enough. So even though Hero, he was in such a strong position on Missing You today, he took a massive loss there. I mean, everything kind of fell apart. The Ling harassed, the Ling run bys, and then he was forced into an all-in, and Rogue took that first game. Game 2 and Game 3 were a little bit more one-sided. It was Rogue going for all-ins. I'm still thinking about the game on Celestial Enclave. Oh, God. So Celestial was Rogue. He went for a big Hydra all-in. He was attacking the rocks, and Hero didn't notice. Even though his unit saw the rocks being attacked, but Hero himself didn't notice and didn't see on the minimap and didn't see on the screen that the rocks were being knocked down. So Hero, he was caught completely off guard by the all-in, and then Rogue just walked into the natural. He just walked into natural and Celestial and just ended the game then and there. 10,000 feet isn't as memorable in my mind, but I think it was also like say failed aggression from Hero and just Rogue punished. But yeah, it was a very chaotic series there, and Rogue, he took the 3-0. Big upset there for Rogue, or big upset for Hero, really, as Hero is knocked out of the tournaments, despite Hero being a dominant force. And even last week, he won like 5 out of 6 weeklies. Like, he won 5 out of 6 tournaments last week. It was crazy, but he is out of RSL. Hero is out, Rogue is in. So we still have the Zerg Dream alive. We have Beyond versus Rogue, and we have Cure versus Trigger. That is going to be tomorrow. That'll be playing out tomorrow. We then, of course, have the upper bracket finals, lower bracket grand finals, and the grand finals themselves. Bearing in mind that for the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, will be the RSL to wrap up Season 4. So this week, we'll be crowning our champion. Will be this week. That leads us into the WarTTV Team League Season 10. Have Xeratus finally played some games? Like, have they finally played some games, papi? Ay. Let's scroll down and find out. Oh boy. As looks like they've changed the info boxes a little bit. Interesting. So we last went off on March the 26th. Okay, so we had Stanley Bulls. They took down Noé Giner 42. That's a big win. That's a big upset here. Not bad. Rogue took down Young Yakov in a best of 1. Yakov took down SOS in a best of 1. We had Rogue and SOS come out on top in the 2v2 over Shameless and Young Yakov. Very impressive. We then had Shameless over Rogue in New Bed of Chaos. Big win there for Shameless. Nickrat over Creator. Oh my god. Nickrat takes down Creator in the best of 1 as well. Very impressive. Then we had Nickrat and Shameless take down Creator and Rogue in the 2v2. Stanley Bulls takes down Noé there 4-2. Big win there for Stanley Bulls. Then we had a not CJ Angus against no H generic. God damn it. Totally not confusing. Get names. Rogue takes down Bunny initially. Hero takes down SOS. We did have initially a back and forth. Rogue and SOS take down Bunny and Hero in the 2v2. Shin takes down Creator. Rogue takes down Shin. So we did have a back and forth here. Hero and Shin, they take down Creator and Rogue in the 2v2. It went all the way to the ace match. Best of one. PvP, Hero versus Creator. A bold move, but again, it's hard to kind of pit anyone against Hero. I mean, Hero, even though he just got knocked out in RSL, like, he is still the best Protoss player in the world, and in the end, Hero does claim the win, and not CJ Antis, they do win over no Ace Shanair, 4-3. 4-3. Up next, we had Team Liquid versus Downy Bulls. Geez, a lot of games were played. Team Liquid of Kira takes down Shameless 1-0. Skills takes down Young Yakov as well. Stowny Bulls, they do come out on top in the 2v2. Nikrak and Young Yakov, they do win the 2v2. Kira takes down Nikrak, Mana takes down Nikrak, and Kira and Skills take down Shameless and Young Yakov in the final 2v2 match. Team Liquid take down Stowny Bulls 5-1. Stronger showing here from Team Liquid. Up next, we had Bassus versus Team Liquid as well. Two of the stronger teams in the group. We had Trigger. Trigger takes down Mana in that best of one. Serral takes down Skilla. Serral and Trigger, arguably the best 2v2 team in the league. They take down Kira and Skillis. We had Kira taking down Trigger here in Reclamation, so we do fight back a little bit here for Team Liquid. Raynor takes down Skillis, playing for the first time. I just realized. Raynor, he takes down Skillis, and then we had Kira and Mana winning the 2v2 over Goblin and Serral, but by then it was too little too late. Wait, Goblin is playing for Basilisk? I might have missed that. I think we spoke about it when the lineups were revealed initially, but yeah, Goblin stepping into Basilisk. But Kira and Mana, they do take that final win here, and in the end, not good enough though, as Basilisk take down Team Liquid 4-2. We then had Basilisk versus No Ace Janair. Oh, here we go. Rogue takes down Serral in the ZVZ. Big win there for Rogue. It does put the first point on the board. Raynor takes down SOS. Rogue and SOS take down Goblin and Serral in the 2v2. Creator takes down Trigger. Ooh, big win there for No Ace Janair. Rogue takes down Goblin. And then we had the 2v2 here. Creator and Rogue, they take down Serral and Trigger. That's a big 2v2 win. No Ace Janair with a dominant showing here against Basilisk. Ay. Big win for No Ace Janair. That led us into our Exertus matches, and it looks like we finally got some games played. I know, I spoke too soon. So Sebestus, he does fall to Cham initially. Cham takes down Sebestus 1-0. Fiant takes down Universe 1-0. So we had a bit of a back and forth there. Then Fiant and Lelix, they get a walkover win. They get a walkover win over Cham and Eggs. Art gets a walkover win over Eggs, so it looks like Eggs was not available for these matches. We then had Gunner. Gunner takes down Universe 1-0, and Fiant and Sebestus take down Cham and Universe 1-0 as well. Platinum Heroes take down Exertus 5-1. Up next, we had Bassus versus Platinum Heroes. We had Raynor taking down Sebestus, Goblin over Ledlix, Serral and Trigger over Fiant and Sebestus, Serral over Fiant, Trigger versus Art, and Trigger and Serral over Fiant and Sebestus. 6-0. Jesus. I believe this is not the first, but a 6-0 strong showing here from Bassus. Again, Bassus, they're one of the stronger teams in the group. Platinum Heroes are one of the weaker teams, so it was a bit of a harder matchup. I mean, best of ones, anything can happen. I'm sure Platinum Heroes did prepare well for this, but in the end, Bassus come out on top. Up next, we had Team Liquid versus No Ace Janair. It looks like some of these matches have been rescheduled, so they have not completed their series. Rogue took down Skillis. Rogue and SOS took down Kira and Skillis as well. Kira took down SOS. Rogue took down Mana. Looks like we are waiting for Kira versus Creator and Kira and Mana versus Creator and SOS. So it looks like we're missing out on a couple of these games. Looks like maybe Creator wasn't quite available. So missing out some matches. Basilisk, they did play their match against Exertus. Looks like no walkovers here. Okay. Trigger takes out Eggs. Serral over Universe. Goblin and Serral over Cham and Eggs. Goblin over Cham. Raynor over Eggs. And Goblin and Serral over Cham and Universe. 6-0 in favor of Basilisk. Their second 6-0 of the week. Yeah, strong showing there from Basilisk is going to help a lot when it comes to the standings. Then finally, we had Basilisk versus not CJ Antis with Hero over Serral. Hero. And Hero over Trigger as well. Jesus. Hero does win his matches, but in the 2v2, Goblin and Serral, they do come out on top. They take down Hero and Shin in the 2v2 matchup. Raynor takes down Shin in the ZVZ. Bunny takes down Raynor here in the follow-up. Impressive comeback there, or showing from Bunny. Serral and Trigger take down Bunny and Shin, and then it went all the way to the ace match. Ooh, there's no Serral versus Hero? Come on. I think we all wanted a rematch between Cyril versus Hero, but no, it was Cyril versus Shin in the ace match, and Cyril does come out on top. I'm sure they knew that Cyril was going to be the ace player, so they tried to snipe him, going for the ZVZ, but Cyril does claim the win. GG. GG all played Bassus 4-3 over Not CJ Entus. And there's still 2 matches left. Team Liquid versus Exeritus and Not CJ versus Exeritus as well. And hopefully Exeritus plays those games. Hopefully they play out their matches and we get some StarCraft. That'll be later on tonight. Those are the final standings here for Group A. When it comes to Group A, Bassus, they are confirmed through the group. They are in first place currently. We have Team Liquid in second, Noe Shiner in third, Not CJ Entus in fourth. We have Stowning Bulls in fifth, and Platinum Heroes and Exeritus in sixth and seventh, respectively. They cannot make it out of the group. They are confirmed out, but when it comes to the other players, there's still 2 slots available. They can still find a way out. Up next, we had Group B. We had our Group B matches, and here we had less matches played. It looks like we're still missing some. Jesus, it's it's still a little bit messy. Spirits games still have not been played, right? Yeah. So we still don't have any updates on Polish Power versus TTM, the Musketeers. And Polish Power versus Shopify. So we're still missing some of the Polish matches. We're still missing some of Shopify versus Bonkers and Shopify versus OWM. What is Old War Machines as well? So a little bit messy here, but I'm sure we'll get around to some of those games. When it comes to any updates that we had the final day, March 31st. Okay. A couple of days ago, onside versus Bonkers. Jumi takes down Ryung 1-0. Maru takes down Baby Marine. Baby Marine and Jumi take down Cristiano and Ryung in the 2v2. Zan takes down Arrow Fire. Cristiano takes down Jumi, and Maru and Zan take down Arrow Fire and Baby Marine. Onside, they do claim the series 4-2 over Bonkers. We then had the Musketeers versus Bonkers in the next round. Classic over Baby Marine. Arrowfire takes down Arrowfire takes down Showtime in the best of 1. Big win there for Arrowfire. Very impressive. Gabe and Showtime. We had Big Mouse taking down Arrowfire and Baby Marine. We had Gabe taking down Jumi. Gabe taking down Arrowfire, and Classic and Gabe over Baby Marine and Jumi as well. So the Musketeers, they take down Bonkers 5-1. Then had the Musketeers versus Onside. Whoa, I would say an upset here. Gabe takes down Cristiano. Classic takes down Maru. Classic. He's got some killer PvT. Does have a winning record against Clem. Now takes down Maru as well. Very impressive. We had Classic and Gabe over Cristiano and Ryung. Zan takes down Showtime. Classic over Ryung. And then we had Maru and Zan over Gabe and Showtime. But that is not good enough of a score. The Musketeers take down Onside 4-2. Big win here for the Musketeers. Shout out to Classic for taking down Maru. That was a big win, of course, and for, of course, being dominant in the being a little bit more dominant in the 2v2s and in some of the other matchups. That led us into what is this? Villains of SC2 versus the Musketeers. Here we had Showtime. Showtime takes down Solar 1-0. Percival takes down Gabe. Again, Percival's TVT hasn't been improving quite heavily. It's been improving quite heavily. We've been seeing his matches against Bjorn, and Percival has been looking like a beast. Takes down Gabe 1-0. Max Pax and Solar, they take down Gabe and Showtime. Max Pax over Classic. Max Pax over Classic again, as they played twice. And then we had Classic and Gabe over Max Pax and Percival. Pretty strong showing there in the 2v2, but alas, Villains of StarCraft do take down the Musketeers 4-2. And we still have a couple of matches remaining. Looks like we still have Villains of StarCraft versus Bonkers. We still have some of the Polish Power matches and some of the other Shopify matches as well. So a little bit messy, but hopefully these games are all played out eventually over the next couple of days that we can get into the playoffs. When it comes to the overall standings, Polish Power and the Old War Machines, they are confirmed they cannot get out of the group, but we still have a lot of competition here for the top 3. So a lot of competition. Best of luck. Best of luck to the other teams. That leads us into our SC Evo show matches. Up first, we had Zardiant and Def Mars versus Milky Cow and Iosop. We had a best of 7 SC Evo 2v2 show match. It was a lot of fun, but a little bit more one-sided here. Zardiant and Def Mars, they take down Milky Cow and Iosop 4-1. Something that isn't here in the Wikipedia page that should otherwise be added is that we did have Zardiant and Def Mars mix up their races a bit. We had Zardiant playing Protoss at times. We had our players kind of like having a little bit more fun. Milky Cow and Iosop, they kind of stuck to their guns and they stayed with Terran and Zerg, but they did have a bit of a harder time here. It did look like they had a little bit less experience in StarCraft Evolution. I do typically favor Milky Cow in 1v1 in SE2 over everyone here, but in the StarCraft Evolution and in 2v2, it's a different story. And Milky Cow, he wasn't quite able to come to fruition. We saw some more, I would say, stagnant or limited play out of Milky Cow. He was like going for the same opener every game, basically. It was he was lacking some diversity for sure. And Zardian and Def Mars did mix it up quite a lot. They mixed it up. GG will play. Congratulations to both Zardians and Def Mars. That leads us into the Enki Epic Series number 8. This is the March edition. This is a best of 9 show match between Classic and Bjorn. A very intense back and forth here between these two players. Classic does take down Bjorn 5-2. I would say that Bjorn is the best Terran player in StarCraft Evolution. Classic is the best Protoss. Like, they're both the best of their respective races. But Classic was looking dominant here. What I will say, though, is that Bjorn was playing a lot of mech. He was playing a surprising amount of mech, both with Budor and with SE2, with very mixed results. So Bjorn was having a bit of a harder time. Classic, he was spreading his wings. He was being more diverse with his Budor Protoss, with his SE2 Protoss as well. Classic was just all over Bjorn. A very strong showing here. 5-2. GG. GG well played here for Classic. That leads us into the Amateur League Weekly, Weekly number 154. This is a weekly open tournament for amateur players. Each edition here is MMR restricted or league restricted. Up first, we have the Initiate Weekly. This is for Bronze to Platinum. Only 2 signups this week, which is a little bit disappointing. It was Pasug over Jackals 3-1 in their best of 5 finals. GG. GG well played here to Pasug. That leads us into the Veteran Edition. This is Diamond 3 to Diamond 2, much more populated, double elimination. Here we have some regulars. We have Smite Steel, we have Glacius, Sugarcoat II, we have Lucid Shadow as well. In the end, we had someone that I'm less familiar with. We had Nully. We had Nully taking down his opponent 2-0 in the third round, taking down Sugarcoat II 2-0 as well, and then 3-0ing Smite Steel UA in the finals. Strong showing here by Nully, not losing a single map and claiming the win. Walking that Royal Road, I believe. Again, I'm not too familiar with the player, haven't seen them on the bracket before. So GG well played. That leads us into the Prestige Edition. This is Diamond 1 to Masters 2. Here we have more of our regulars. We see Steez, Beast, Defiance, Zigger, Matrix, Boreal, Herald, and Cossit. And we know everyone here. Everyone here. In the end, we had Matrix. Matrix, he took down Herald 2-1, took down Steez 2-0, and took down Steez 3-2 in the final. Steez is usually one of the big names to win all of this, but no, I don't think I've seen Matrix claim a win here before. Big win. GG well played to our Polish Protoss player. That leads us into the Elite Edition. Here we did have a series. You had 2 signups, Nickrat and Hatsu. Nickrat takes down Hatsu 3-0 to claim the win here in the Elite Edition. Okay, this is for M1 to GM. GG well played. Again, the players that do all earn points, of course, towards the end of season finals. Up next, we had the Chat Star League number 45. This is also MMR restricted. Bear that in mind. Quickly double checking here. This is for, I think, 5.4. No, sorry, 5.3. This is for 5.3k MR and below. So this is still GM, but low GM. Low GM here for our players. We have Gref, we have Magnath, the Universe, Xingming, Steez, Sig, and J Money. A lot of regulars that we expect in some of these other events. A lot of regulars. Here we had Gref. Gref, he took down Magnath 2-0, took down Universe 3-0. For those who don't know, Gref, he is a hyper cheesy player. He does nothing but cannon rush. Just pure cannon rushes out of Gref. Almost pure cannon rushes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he cannon rushed every single game. He did go up against Xingming in the finals. But I'm curious. Xingming, he's a Protoss player. He's not Terran. It's possible that he off-raced just because of the MMR restriction. I don't know if they allow off-racing here. But yeah, Xingming, he's a top Protoss player. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Like, if he was playing Protoss, he's the heavy favorite. But it looks like he off-races Terran, took down Sig 3-2, and took down Gref 3-2 as well. So GG well played here to Xingming. Just for some greater context, though, he's usually a Protoss player. He is off-racing here. As far as I can tell, I don't know if he's like officially switched to Terran. For now, I'm just assuming just off-racing. So GG well played. Congratulations to Xingming. That leads us into the TLMC King of the Hill number 1. Interesting. I wasn't aware of this. Was this casted anywhere? Wait, what?
As far as I know, not unless it was maybe on Patch's channel, but officially there is nothing linked.
Okay, okay. I might reach out to all my patches here. So I believe this was featuring purely, yep, it was featuring purely new upcoming TLMC maps. Okay. Interesting. We have, what do we have? I don't know if you've seen the map itself. I think you have, Kuro, but Blackrock. Blackrock is there. I really like the aesthetic of Blackrock, and also kind of the map
Fun
itself.
fact: I did
Blackrock,
actually see Blackrock being made, as Avex was actually getting like giving updates as he was making the map. So I wasn't surprised when I saw it.
there you go. We have Broken Aspirations. We have Lilith, Exarch, Lumen, Rorschach, Outsider's Mark, Verdant Temple, Voidstorm, Wrath, Old Sun Temple, Rust Belt, Defender's Lab, Hellfire, and Rainfall. Really interesting here. I mean, again, so basically this was a King of the Hill style tournament with purely new upcoming maps. I would love to see what happened here. I'd love to see these games. Very interested to see like how these maps turned out. Beyond went on a massive win streak from the beginning. Homeowner took down Hackers top 1-0. Inexorable took down Honmono. Minizerg took down Inexorable. Special took down Minizerg. Special, he went on a short win streak, take down Minizerg and F2 click. Then he forced to Beyond, and then Beyond went on a tear. Beyond takes down Special, Green Earth, Berry Crunch, Percival, Bonyo, Havertz, Honmono, Minizerg, Green Earth, and Honmono once again. So big win streak there from Beyond. But what I'm most curious about is the maps themselves and how they played out. Now, what I will say is that the submission phase is still open for TLMC, so there's still room for growth, room for refinement. But getting eyes on these maps early here, I feel like has a lot of value when it comes to experiencing the maps and getting the opportunity to actually see players play on them and adapt and adjust and try to clean them up before they get finalized coming into the TLMC. But I do want to give props to Patches, just because Patches, he has been doing the best that he can, of course, when it comes to propping up and featuring some of these newer maps as best as he can. So definitely do appreciate it, for sure. And do appreciate it. And yeah, it looks like, actually, sorry, it looks like Dave Testa might have streamed this. It's not on Wikipedia for some reason. Let's double check. Un momento. This was on the 27th. I'm just checking his VODs. Yeah, okay. So there is a VOD available. So we can update the Wikipedia page, but Dave Tessa did cast this. This was 5 days ago. It's a 5-hour stream. So yeah, if you are curious about how the maps played out, then I do highly recommend checking the VOD out over on Dave Tessa's channel. I might even try to. I stole myself. Kira's happy about that, by the way. I was about to say that I might try to reach out for some replays for a cast, but I know that right now we're kind of bogged down.
Do it, I dare you.
Oh no, not like this. We just don't cast enough. We just don't cast enough StarCraft. I think I'll reach out just to get my hands on the replays, just because there is value here, just knowing that these are upcoming maps, just to get as much experience on them as possible.
Yeah, I would say that, like, I feel like there is value in like at least taking a look at the replays of the TLMC maps, especially since you will be judging later as well, so you can actually see them being played too. Light is messaging as we speak.
I just messaged Patches. I gave him the eyes. We'll see. But yeah, congratulations to Beyond. But again, I feel like a lot of value here is basically in the games themselves, and I would hope that we had minimal cheese, and I would hope that you got to experience some of the maps themselves. But yeah, GG well played. Congratulations to Beyond for claiming the win here of being the TLMC King of the Hill. That leads us. That leads us into the Elpis Team League 2026 Cup 2026 tournament. It looks like we finally have our champions, as we expected, but not the result that I was expecting. Previously, we were catching up with the semifinals. We had Super Kitty and Starlight Twinkle advancing on to the grand finals, and we actually went all the way to the ace match here. Okay, or we had a close series. We had Starlight Twinkle versus Super Kitty. It was Jolua Loves versus his opponents. Hold on. That is a Keyboard Superman, a Keyboard Warrior, if you will. So Jolo Loves takes him down 2-1. Then we had Rewhite versus his Terran opponents in the next round. That was Zhongling. Here we had Rewhite take down his opponent 2-0. Rewhite off race. okay. So a bit of a skill disparity there, but Rewhite he did off race, and Silky takes down Triple H 2-0. Bold to make that happen, but it looks like they were having fun, so it makes sense why the scoreline was so close. What I mean by that, Silky was the heavy favorite, the ace player of his team, but Triple H is not Terran, he's Protoss, so it looks like he also off-raced. So it looks like there was a bit of an agreement here. Rewhite off-race, Triple H off-race as well. Jolo Loves is the only player that played his main race, and in the end, Starlight Twinkle, they come out on top 4-2. They claim the win. They are going to be this year's Elpis Team League champion. GG. GG well played. Congratulations to Starlight Twinkle.
I just want to give a shout out to Super Kitty for going all the way to 4-3. You know, you didn't have faith in them, but I did.
I did not expect Starlight Twinkle to off race. But yes, they went all the way to the ace match.
It's the power of the Super Kitty.
True, exactly. The mental power. They came into this tournament with 6 teams, by the way. They had 5 Super Kitty teams. Where's number 6? Maybe number 6 got knocked out in the qualifiers. Hard to say. But we had 5 teams coming in. One of them made it to the finals, and even then went all the way to the ace match. GG. Impressive play here by Super Kitty. Impressive. SMH my head. But GG, well played. Congratulations to Starlight Twinkle, as again, they are one of the strongest, if not the strongest Chinese team out there, proving their worth coming out on top. GG, well played. That leads us into the StarCraft 2 Community Team League 2026 Spring Qualifier. Yo, we're just going straight into the qualifiers. That's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams to go through. We have Eeyore. We have one Eeyore. A bit of an amateur team full of players I'm less familiar with. We have All Chicken as well. Let's go. Dream Fans, Eagle Hawk, SFG, Lowlife. Again, more of an amateur team I'm less familiar with. We have Team Astartes. This has Latte, of course. We have Chaos Fairy. Ooh, that looks like a collaboration. There's actually a couple of them. It looks like offshoots of Team Little Fairy. So we have Chaos Fairy. We have Fairy Thug. Is there another fairy? There's Zhelongma, which also has a Team Little Fairy. Yeah, there's Lazy Fairy as well with Triple D. Let's go. Is there a Little Fairy? That's the... No, there is. Okay. And then we have Little Fairy, of course, with their main roster. But, see, look. We have to give credit here, okay? It's not Little Fairy 1, Little Fairy 2, Little Fairy... No. They had fun with it.
True,
we got Chaos Fairy, we got Lazy Fairy, you know, we got Fairy Thug. Right? Super Kitty? What's going on? Get creative. What are you doing just adding numbers? Come on.
This is where next tournament Super Kitty comes with Super Kitty, Super Doggy, Super Horsey. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go through all the animals.
Super Fishy. Yeah. So that this raises the bar when it comes to like academy teams and offshoot teams and what they call themselves. Just saying. Bar has been raised. What else we have? We have Shayo. As another amateur team. We have Elpis 2. Look at this. Elpis. They resorted to the Super Kitty method. We got Elpis 2. We got Elpis 3. Once again, more amateur teams. We have the Elpis main team with Lemon, with Miggy, Restart, SCV. Strong lineup. We have Expeditionary Force. We have Gobby. Oh my, Gobby's got his team. We got Team Hist. We have Team Hist. We got Hist 2 as well. Let's go. We got Itsuki TV. We have Kauda, one of the stronger teams. We have Kim's. We have Leor, as opposed to One Or. I think that's also like an offshoot. Okay, interesting. Little Fairy, we have Team Old Man. Oh my god, Old Man has some young people in there, but really old, yeah, some older people as well. We got Team Old Man. We need to contact Young Yakov. We need to get Young Yakov in there. We got Coffee, we got Cyan, we got Jeshi, we have Kingslayer. I say that from my understanding, I believe Kingslayer is like in his 20s, like early 20s, right?
Don't understand, Light. 20 in esports is old.
True. Kingslayer, he's 25. Old man. God damn it. So Old Man, honestly, that's a really powerful lineup. Coffee, Cyan, Jeshi, and Kingslayer. Really strong team. We have PCEC. We have Protoss the Best. Rookie Warpgate Academy. We got Solo ASR, a bit of an amateur team. We have Triple S, Starlight Twinkle, of course, one of the bigger teams. We have Super Kitty as well. We have there it is, Super Puppy. Okay, we got team. They stepped it up. We got Team Super Puppy. Let's go. We got Toy Projects, Toy Story. Team Toy Story, Void Breaker, and then Zolongma as well. Okay, so when it comes to this, again, a lot of amateur teams, as we mentioned before, the Chinese scene is thriving, is very healthy, to the point where we can just field. I mean, compare the amount of teams here compared to the War TV Monday. Sorry, the War TV Team League. Like, War TV Team League pales in comparison when it comes to the quantity of players here, which is insane. When it comes to the top teams, we are looking at.
To be fair, I will say that the World Team League did have qualifiers, but the qualifiers weren't also as populated as this.
Yeah, even if you compare qualifiers here, there are more teams available here, 100%. So again, it just shows just the quantity of players that are active and competing and are willing to take part as well when it comes to these Chinese events, compared to the international scene, which is kind of crazy. But when it comes to the top teams that we're looking at, Elpis. We're looking at Team Elpis. We're looking at Little Fairy. We're looking at Old Man. We're looking at Starlight Twinkle, and those are the top 4 teams in my mind. Those are the top 4 teams: Starlight Twinkle, Old Man, Little Fairy, and Elpis. There's some other teams that have some key players, that is true. Like Hist has a couple of key players, Kauda has a couple of key players, Toy Project as well. But these teams, they only have like a couple of key players, as opposed to these other teams that have like full rosters of like heavy hitters. Oh boy. Now it looks like we did have our qualifiers though. So the qualifier, and again, the qualifiers that did conclude. Here we had Old Man, they 6-0 Elpis 2. That makes sense when we won't go through all the score lines. But Old Man, they make it through 6-0 over Elpis 2. We have Rookie Warpgate over Itsuki TV. We have Silent Twinkle 6-0 over Gobi. I mean, you can see like these are the favorite teams. They come in with 6-0s. Very strong results. Little Fairy 6-0 over Toy Story. Leor 6-0 over Chaos Fairy. Elpis 6-0 over Zolongma. We had a bit of okay, this is more interesting. So we had amateur teams facing off here. We had Fairy Thug versus Solo ASR. We had a back and forth one all the way to the ace match. We had Usola tied 1-1 with his opponents. We had FSA Shine Life 2-0ing his opponents. We had a 2-0 in favor of Solosar, and then Osola, he wins the ace match. Okay, so Fairy Thug, they make it into the main event. Let's go. Big win there for Fairy Thug. PCEC, they 6-0 1-0. Hiss, they take down Rookie Warpgate Academy 5-1. Protoss the Best, they take down Void Breaker 6-0. We have Astartes taking down a Lazy Fairy 5-1. Super Puppy, they take down All Chicken. The puppy beats the chicken. Kauda, they take down EFG. Super Kitty takes down Triple S. Total Project takes down Kyayo. And Elbus 3 takes down Kimis. Oh, this is an interesting result. So these were more amateur teams as well. So we had initially, what am I looking at? K and Skyline, I think. Skyline took down his opponent 2-0. Steven tied 1-1. We then had a 2-0 in favor of the Elpis player, and then a 1-0 in favor of Elpis in the final. So Elpis 3, they make it through into the main event alongside Elpis 1 and alongside Fairy Thug. So Fairy Thug and Elpis 3, those are the 2 amateur teams that made it through. Otherwise, we have all the other bigger names advancing on. Super Kitty's another amateur team, but they also went up against an amateur team in the qualifying match in a 6-0 scoreline. So GG well played. For the most part, the teams that we expected to make it through did, and we have a couple of extra teams also making it through. I do wish them the best. Do wish them the best in the main league, the main season. When it comes to the main season, I believe it should be starting soon. Looks like mid-April. Yeah, the groups have been lined up. Sorry, I say mid-April. Round 1 is tomorrow. Jesus. So round 1 will begin tomorrow. We'll be doing our best to keep up with this. Fun fact, we wrap up with one Chinese team league and then another starts up. Like this, it feels like there's always at least one Chinese team league running at a time, and sometimes there's multiple Chinese team leagues. It's crazy. A lot of games, a lot of matches. With that leads into our regional events. That leads us into the Host Open number 23. This is a monthly tournament for the Brazilian scene. And we'll see who did compete here tonight. Often it does fall on host players, but there we go. We had Master. We had Eric as well. Let's go. Eric, he took down Dominoco 2-0. He went down to Master in the upper bracket finals. Eric, he fought his way back from that lower bracket to face off against Master, but he gets 4-0'd. Ooh, 6-0 in favor of Master. Showing here at a Master. Eric, he did kind of have a harder time here in this tournament. We did point out that in the previous Code for Giants Cup, Eric took down Master, but here a much more dominant display from Master. GG. GG well played. Shout out to our boy Eric for making it to the finals, but doesn't quite make it through. I most likely will be reaching out for replays regarding this. I always do try to showcase Eric whenever I can. He is our boy, of course, so we'll try to reach out, might get replays for the Host Open. Might be able to do so. That leads us into Chicken King Cup number 10. This is a Chinese 1v1 event, not Team League, not this time. Here, oh, is that Nanyu? Wait, did we already go through this? We did. Okay, so we had. Yeah, what exactly though? I mean, looking at the dates here, it looks like it was just the finals that were left. Yeah, it looks like it was just the finals. So we had already gone over the other results. Who was in the finals? One of this has to be Nanyu. So from the upper bracket, I believe that's... Yep, Nanyu from the upper brackets. From the lower brackets here, is that Silky? I believe so. Yeah. So Silky versus Nanyu in the grand finals. If you recall, it took us a while to figure out that it was Silky because... doesn't use this goddamn name. But Silky, he got knocked out very early. I think he got knocked out by SCV, right? No, he got knocked out by Hyderia. So he got knocked down by Hyderia, and if you remember, I was trying to figure out who Hyderia was. Yeah, that was the thing. I was like trying to figure it out, and I don't think I did. Or did I?
I don't think you did.
I don't think I figured it out.
I think it's just Hyderia. I think that's who they are.
Yeah, it was just shocking to see that he took down Silky. So Silky, he had a crazy run in the lower bracket. He took down every single player before him, took down Millennium Fox. He took down SCV 3-2. It was a very close, very clutch lower bracket finals between Silky and SCV. SCV, he got knocked down by Millennium Fox. Sorry, he got knocked down by Nanyu earlier. Then we had the grand finals between Nanyu and Silky, and Silky does take down Nanyu 4-1. Congratulations, Silky. He will claim the tournament. But a shout out to Nanyu for making it this far, and a shout out to Hyderia for causing the upset and bringing Silky down. The only player to beat Silky in this event. Also shout out to SCV for having an ace match against Silky as well in that lower bracket. GG well played, congratulations. That leads us into Legacy Weekly Japan, and here there is no Tapioca. We're missing some players. I see Deadlykin, I see Akira, I see Nisazao. I do not see Vaishravanya. Vaishravanya wasn't here last week either. So Vaishravanya has been MIA. I don't see Sayark either. No Tapioca, of course. And with that, no Noticon. True. There's no Noticon. But Akira takes down Nisazao, takes down Antara Example, and takes down Hirakui 2-1 in the finals. GG well played. Akira will claim the win. Congratulations, as that's a rare sight. We don't often see Akira making it here and claiming these wins and becoming a champion. Congratulations. That leads us into the Echo Chamber Super Bowl number 1. What the hell is this? It looks like a massive tournament here. Jesus, that's a lot of players. A lot to go through. Minimum games required. Wait, what? It's a 40-player multi-week event, being exclusive to users of all things Protoss. Oh, there you go. All things Protoss. Okay, let's go through the group stage. And it looks like some of this did take place earlier, but I guess we didn't cover it at the time.
Yeah, I was
mean, it's a
waiting
much
till
more
the
niche again.
group stage completes.
Yeah, it's a much more niche event. When it comes to Group S, we have Group S. We had Mixu, Bonan, Fiant, Gunner, and Lelix. Honestly, a really, really jam-packed group. Mixu, Bonan, and Fiant, they do make it out. Gunner and Lelix do not. It's a bit of a shame here. We had some pretty big names in this group. This was an insane group. Group A, we had Azura, Nihed, Holy Hit, Hydra, and Anticore. Likewise, very stacked. Azura, Nihed, and Holy Hit do make it out. A very impressive play here by Holy Hit, not going to lie. I do typically favor Hydra and Anticore over Holy Hit. We then had Solicitus, Timo, and Hackers top. They do advance on. Lulis and Mose do not out of Group B. We had Group C, which was Bomioja, Hapsaya, Akenon. They do advance on. Gemini and Universe are knocked out of the tournament. Group D, we have Patches, New Horizons, Aluton, Yober, Chris, and Waffles. Patches, New Horizon, and Aluton do make it through. Group F, we had Frogos, Vendetta Vic, and Goat Puncher making it out. Over Dincommon and Grand Pursuit. We had Angrath, Haroku, and Sewer Badger advancing on over EBD and Gorthar. And Group Triple F. Okay. I just realized Group F, Double F, Triple F. We had Rivial, Character, and Mr. Fister over Crimpus and Sprite. Again, really interesting groups just because some of these seem really top heavy. But that might be by design. Like this looks like a little bit of a meme. Like when it comes to the seeding.
I mean, it
and
looks
when it
like
comes to
it's
the
less
groups.
seeding and more like the groups themselves are like different ranks of players.
It looks that way, but that doesn't. But that's also kind of weird, right? Like because they're all being seeded into the same bracket at the end of the day, so it feels weird to do that. But as a result, some big names got knocked out early in the group stage, and I guess that does allow for some of these lower tier players to have a deeper run and have a stronger tournament performance here. So best of luck. Best of luck to those from Group D, F, Double F, and Triple F. As again, there is a bit of a skill disparity between these players and some of the other top GMs. So best of luck. But again, it looks like this is organized and run by those behind the scenes at the Platinum, at the All Things Protoss Discord. They do host a lot of tournaments. So best of luck, as I'm sure the bracket is going to be seeded soon. Yeah. That leads us into the Basilisk Big Main Bouts, number 110. Here we have, this is our weekly show match series from Basilisk, covered by Roddy, of course. We have the Basilisk one, which was Rainer versus Big Gabe. We have the fun one, which is Sorda versus Fiance. We have the good one, which is Christiana versus Young Yakov. Honestly, really good matches, really good lineups. Up first, we had the fun one, Fiance versus Sordov, 3-2, barely in favor of Sordov. An intense back and forth between our Swedish Zerg players. Let's go. We have some of the old guard in Sordov and some of the next generation in Fiant, and Sordov does claim the series 3-2. GG. GG well played, Sordov. He does claim the series. Then have the good one, Yakov versus Christiana. Also very close, very close. Went all the way to the ace match. Christiana takes down Yakov 3-2, just barely as well in that back and forth. That honestly could have gone either way. Congratulations to Christiana. That leads us into the Basilisk one. Rainer versus Gabe did start off in favor of Gabe, winning on Mothership, and then Rainer won 3 games in a row. Rainer coming on top over Gabe. Again, we haven't really seen too much of Gabe as of late when it comes to tournament participation, but great to see him here in some of these more recent events like the show matches and also in the Wardy TV Team League. But GG well played. Rainer, Sordov, and Christiana, they do claim their matches. GG. And again, look forward to future show matches here that Rotterdam is going to be hosting and organizing. So that is on a weekly basis. Up next, we did have the OSC Rising Star number 18. I believe this was covered. The most recent day was covered by Steadfast. Did cover those recent matches. We are going to be covering this event tomorrow. By the way, the upcoming matches we'll be covering. Shameless takes down Lelix 2-1 to advance on to the upper bracket finals. G Machine takes down Milky Cow 2-0 as well. So we have a Shameless versus G Machine in the upper bracket finals. These were the top 2 players we expected to make it through. The other players that would threaten, of course, would be Milky Cow and Jumi, but they do not advance on into those upper bracket finals. They get knocked down to the lower bracket. Speaking of, we had Sebestis. Sebestis takes down an Inexorable 2-1. Art takes down Papi as well. Moja took down Creature, and Mini Zerg took down Baby Marine. Oh boy, so that lower bracket is still ongoing. We have Moja versus Rebellion and Jumi versus Minizerg, Sebestis versus Art as well. When it comes to the upcoming matches here, I still do have faith that players like Milky Cow and Jumi, they can threaten these otherwise top 2 players of Sheamus and GG Machine, but there's a very high chance that we see a rematch. Regardless of who wins between Sheamus and GG Machine, they're going to be favored to face off again in the grand finals. But we'll see. We shall see. Best of luck to all the players. Best of luck to all of the rising talent. That leads us into the OC King of the Hill number 242. We had Björn coming on top of the previous King of the Hill, and he also pops up here as well. It all begins with Sebestis. Sebestis takes down Lilix 1-0, takes down Hacker's Top on a 2-game win streak before being knocked down by Mindle VK. Big win for Mindle. It's short-lived because then Geralt comes out, takes the game. Cristiano comes out, takes 2 games, takes down Geralt and Fiant before Björn goes on a big win streak. Björn takes down Cristiano, takes down Jumi, takes down Inexorable, Minizerg, Art, and Geralt. 6 games in a row before being stopped by Percival. We've been seeing Percival more and more often beat Björn. We've seen him take him down time and time again. Once again, he's here to stop him in the best of 1 format. Takes down Björn in the 13th match, takes down Mindle, takes down Nickrat. Percival, he'll be this week's reigning King of the Hill. GG well played. Björn does win the most matches here with 6 wins under his belt, but Percival does end the event as the final King of the Hill. As a result, Percival, he's going to be invited. He's going to be invited into the next King of the Hill to be the starting player. We'll see if he is going to be available for that, of course. And again, congratulations to Björn for winning the most amount of matches, followed by Percival, then Sebestis, and Cristiano. GG. GG well played. This is a weekly tournament. I will say that we might start casting this again live. It's hard to say, but this event, it does start quite late in the night, which is why we stopped covering it. But with daylight savings on the horizon, we might be able to cover this event on a more regular basis. Might be able to. Up next, we have the Platinum Heroes, SC2 Tour Cup number 2. Oh my god. As we did end up covering this. Un momento. We have a lot of weeklies. We did cover this ourselves.
Lorimbo has a question for you in the chat.
Oh, no. Oh, what did he say? I mean, well, big. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Sugarcoat the second for the raid. Thank you, Pepper. Thank you. What was the? Am I blind? Oh, like thoughts on Sebestis? Is he the new goat? Oh no! Oh no! Is that the question you were referring to?
Yes.
God damn it! Aye. Is that a reference to King of the Hill? Did I miss what it was referencing? I mean, hey, he did take down Lelix, true, and Hacker's Top. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Oh, no. What I will say, actually, look, now that you brought up Lorimbo, is I'm curious to see when is Lorimbo playing in tournaments again, because I saw the coaching session. There was a sort of coaching session a couple of days ago with Lorimbo. Okay, just saying. What are you being coached for? Like, what's happening here? What's going on in Lorimbo? To get some coaching, I feel like we might see a return. We might see a return to competitive play. I feel like we have to at this point. True. I'm anxious about playing in tournaments. I don't like it. No. Ese Lorimbo. You say that, but really, you just wanna hide your skill. You wanna let all these other players win, baby. True. Ese Lorimbo. We'll see him again. I'm sure. God damn it. This is where the Italian trolley build was showcased. Let's go. The Vespa. God damn it. But with that, we're getting into our Platinum Heroes SC2 Tour. Here, this is a monthly tournament every single month, and it's leading into it's leading into a grand finals at the end of the year with the Platinum Circuit. Coming into this, Percival took down Shameless 2-0, took down Cristiano 3-2 before going off against Geralt in the grand finals. The semifinals were very close, as is often the case here. These were best of 5 semis. Geralt, he had a crazy upset himself. He took down Creator 3-2. Big win here for Geralt, a very, very big upset. Take down Creator. It was foreseen, it was foretold for this to be a finals between Creator and Percival, but Geralt does deny that. So Geralt, he may have gone down in the finals, but taking down Creator was no easy feat. GG, well played. Shout out to Geralt for taking down Creator. Does eventually fall to Percival. So congratulations to Percival claiming the win. That leads us into the Ladder Legends Academy Showdown, Open Showdown number 3. Despite the name, I believe this is an open tournament. On an irregular basis. I don't know if we have confirmation whether this is a monthly or not. It might just be irregular. It might just be every now and then. I don't know if Kura has any information regarding that. It looks like, I'm assuming it's a monthly. Yeah. So we had one in January, one in February, one in March, and the other one is scheduled for April. So as far as I can tell, it looks like it is a monthly tournament. Coming into this, we did have, likewise, I'm not too certain if, there's no, like, Aligulac kind of, like, requirement or restrictions. But, yo, Art, what's going on? We were pointing out some of Art's accolades previously. Art, he took down Showtime. I want to say Art took down Classic in the Wardy TV Team League tournament. Art has been looking insane as of late, and here he 2-0 Solar. Like, what the hell? That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Art takes down Solar 2-0. Massive upset in the quarterfinals. He does fall to young Yakov, so it's a little bit short-lived. But I'm sure Yakov and Cristiano and everyone is happy to see this. I'm sure everyone's like, thank God. It's the Art. He's crazy. So Art, he takes down the favorite player here in the quarterfinals. Goes down to young Yakov, and then Cristiano takes the win over Yakov in the finals 3-1. GG, well played here to Cristiano. Does claim the win, but again, shout to Art because that was a crazy result. That's crazy. So let's claim the win. That leads us into the Wardy TV Monday. Wardy TV Monday number 80, your weekly open tournament here. That is covered by Wardy. Once again, we used to cover this event weekly as well. Live, we currently do it via replays. We should be live casting starting next week, though. Should be back to live casting. Do keep an eye out for that. Meanwhile, we do get into the event itself. Classic took down Cure 2-1, took down Lambo 2-0. Before I get ahead of myself, Lambo took down Clem. Big upset here. Wait, hold on. Clem played Protoss? Clem, he usually only plays Protoss against Terran, but looks like he played Protoss against Lambo as well. Okay. Not something that I was quite expecting here, but Lambo, he does punish Clem's Protoss. He does advance on before being knocked down by Classic. Classic takes down Solar, and he faces off against Hero in the grand finals. Best of 5. Hero, he himself took down Max Pax on the way to the finals, took down Bjorn, and 3-0's Classic in that best of 5. GG, well played. Hero does claim the win, but a shout out to Lambo for taking down Clem, and a shout out to our other players for, of course, competing, for taking part. Eba took a map of a Max Pax. Eba. See, I'm sure he took some limbo wheels for that. I'm sure he took them. Took some advice to heart. Limbo. As Hero does claim the win 3-0 over Classic. That leads us into the Monday Night Weeklies number 46. That was later on that very evening. Here, we had a lot of our regulars, Clem just playing nothing but Protoss. Hold on, does anyone know, is there some kind of context that we should be aware of? Is this the beginning of something? Clem, he played nothing but Protoss earlier in the Woody TV Monday. Here, he plays Protoss against Art. He plays Protoss against Creator. He gets knocked down in the PvP. We'll see if he plays nothing but Protoss this week. So far, at least this day. So Creator, he knocks down Clem. Classic, he 2-0 Showtime. Creator 2-0's Classic. Big win there for Creator, advancing onto the upper bracket. A very Protoss heavy bracket, by the way. As Hero, he does take down Cure, Nick Wrecked, Bjorn. He goes on a tear against all the Terran players. Before I get ahead of myself, shout out to Bjorn. Bjorn did cause an upset. Bjorn knocked Max Pax down. Max Pax was knocked down by Bjorn in the upper bracket quarterfinals. Hero, he 2-1's Bjorn. He 2-1's Creator, and Hero takes down Bjorn in the grand finals. Who was the player that knocked Max Pax? Look at him go! I keep telling you. Art, he took down Solar earlier. He took down Showtime. He took down Classic. Here, Art knocks out Max Pax. Like, this Art, he's cracked. Like, every now and then. Like, we just saw it. He took down Solar earlier. Here, he takes down Max Pax. He takes down Cure. I just glossed over that as well. Art is crazy. He's crazy. He's an animal. Taking down some of the favorite players before forward in the Classic. Este Art. Bjorn, he takes down Clem 1-0 to knock him out of the tournament. Bjorn takes down Classic, takes down Creator before falling to Hero in the grand final. So Hero, he does win the Horde Seed Monday, he wins the Monday Night Weeklies, and that leads us into the Sparkling Tuna Cup, where this time there was no Hero, but we did have a Classic, Creator, Bjorn, and Trigger. Still had our own top players, of course. We did move our event to Tuesday, not to clash with RSL. Creator, we saw him take down Classic earlier in the Monday Night Weekly. He does it again. Twice this week. Creator, he takes down Classic in that ace match in the semifinals. Bjorn takes out Trigger, and we had a best of 5 finals between Creator and Bjorn. Went all the way to the ace match, a very intense back and forth. Was very close, very clutch, and Bjorn barely gets the win over Creator 3-2. GG well played. Bjorn does claim the win. Shout out to Creator for taking down the Classic once again, but doesn't quite claim the win in the end of the tournament. That leads us into the Pickasaur Cup, and I was curious to see if the trend continues, but it does not. Disappointing. Clem, he did play Protoss against Cure, which is standard, but Clem switched to Terran in the finals. Didn't play Protoss, so it looks like maybe it was just a one-day thing, where Clem was playing nothing but Protoss earlier. Here, switches back to Terran. As Hero, he takes down Percival 3-1, and Hero and Clem, they have a back and forth intense finals featuring a lot of the newer maps, featuring Blackrock, featuring Stormbush, Washout as well. Bearing in mind, starting this week, the Pickasaur Cup has an updated map pool of TLMC maps. Blackrock, Lumen, Necropolis, Storm Surge, and Washout. I still have not casted a game on Lumen. I still have missed out on that, so I'm still not fully aware as to what that map brings to the table. But regardless, Clem does claim the win 3-2 over Hero. GG well played. Clem does claim the win, gets his revenge over the Korean Protoss. That leads us into the Kung Fu Cup weekly number 3. Here we had some more diversity. Let's go. We had Solar, we had Shin popping off every now and then. Shin, he just looks crazy. I want to see if there's art. Hold on. I want to. Okay. There's no art on the brackets. Hero 2-0's Showtime, 2-0's Rogue. Clem takes down Hero once again, this time in a more decisive fashion, 2-0. Clem does advance onto the semis, where Bjorn knocks him down. Bjorn took down Solar, Bjorn took down Clem to advance onto the grand finals. Who did Shin defeat on his way to the finals here? Shin, he 2-0'd down, 2-0'd Ryung, and 2-1 to Cure. Do you see what I see though? Very quickly, in the quarterfinals, in the round 16, Creator 2-0's Classic. 3 times this week. Yeah, let's go. 3 times this week. Creator, he takes down Classic 2-0. Very impressive. Recently, Creator, he has had Classic's number. Calm down, Bobby. Calm down. So Creator, he was the number 1 seed. He was the number 1 seed of the lower bracket. Classic got knocked down early, so there was no Protoss in the finals. Creator knocks him down. Cure knocks down Creator. Shin knocks down Cure, and then we have Shin taking down Bjorn in the grand finals. Crazy result here. It's a rare sight to even see a Zerg player in the finals, but to see a Zerg player win, even rarer. Congratulations here to Shin. He does pop off. You could argue that hey, he avoided Classic, but I mean, Classic got to work on his PvP, got to work on his PV Creator, clearly. As Shin does claim the win here. Congratulations, as that does wrap up our weekly tournaments. Again, great to see some Zerg representation this week. It's a rare thing to see, but we do have our Zerg champion. Likewise, shout out to the tail of the weeklies, which is Creator. Creator just having a strong showing versus Classic time and time again. Clem, he had a crazy showing in a couple of tournaments playing nothing but Protoss with very mixed results, and Art popping off. Art, he took down Solar 2-0 previously in the previous Ladder Legends tournament, and likewise we saw Art taking down Cure and Max Packs in the Monday Night Weekly. Art, he's taking down some big names this week, and that's been happening on a more regular basis. Not saying that he's favored, but Art every now and then he just pops off. It's crazy. It's crazy. He's dangerous, Papi. He's dangerous. But otherwise, GG well played. With that, we wrap up our events of the week. If you yourself want to sign up, I'm looking at you, Lorimbo. If you want to sign up for some of these tournaments, ! Sign up list in the chat, and you'll get a list of open cups. We have the Showmatch Friday Cup number 2. We have the StarCraft Evolution Global Doubles. We have Ladder Legends Academy Amateur Showdown number 3. We have the Legacy League Japan. We have more 2v2 events. I would say, true. Oh my god. I would say that when it comes to competing, hey, there's been a lot of 2v2s, so maybe we could see Lodimbo in some 2v2s as well. Maybe. As this may be less of a serious kind of context or less of a serious event. Este Cura. SMH. But yeah, plenty of open cups. Plenty of open cups are available here, available in the sign up list. So do check it out. Otherwise, you can support us via Patreon. Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon does fund our tournaments on a regular basis. It funds the Tunic Cup, the Duckling Open, and the Master Swan Open as well. It is all funded via Patreon. You can help us grow our tournaments, and you can help grow the scene, support the scene, and support the players, all via our Patreon. We also get benefits. You also gain access to our Discord channels, to subscriber replay packs as well, all via the Patreon, or subscribing in Twitch chat as well. True. Do have all those benefits. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for the support. Again, a lot of tournaments to go through this week, and more to come in the coming weeks as well. As a reminder, when it comes to the rest of our schedule here, we have RSL over the weekend. RSL Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days straight of RSL action. Likewise, we have the OSC Elite Rising Star broadcast that is going to be tomorrow morning. Going to be catching up with OSC. We have Kung Fu Cup replay casts on Saturday morning, and we have the Thermal 2v2 circuits over the course of the weekend, Sunday/Monday. So we have more 2v2s, more StarCraft, more content, plenty on the horizon here. Do check it out. Do consider following us, as we do stream on YouTube, and VODs are uploaded to YouTube on a daily basis. Plenty of VODs, plenty of content. Check it out. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week for the next podcast, or we'll see you guys tomorrow for OSC or for RSL. See you then, papi. Ciao. Hasta luego.